My name is Jordan Blake. I'm 31 years old and I work in cybersecurity for one of the biggest financial institutions in Dallas. Last Saturday night at my cousin's wedding, my mother stood in front of 200 guests and introduced me as the one who still plays with computers for a living. She said it with a laugh, like I was a teenager gaming in a basement instead of someone who literally protects billions of dollars from hackers every single day. I felt every pair of eyes in that ballroom land on me. The chandeliers overhead suddenly felt too bright. My cousin's new in-laws were sitting 3 tables over, wealthy people in designer suits who my mom had been desperate to impress all evening. She was performing, making herself look like the patient mother of a daughter who never quite grew up, never quite achieved anything real. My hands went numb around my champagne glass. This wasn't new. My mom had spent years dismissing what I do, but she'd never done it so publicly, so deliberately in front of people who mattered. The woman next to me, someone's aunt I'd never met, actually patted my hand and whispered, "Well, everyone needs hobbies, dear." I smiled. I nodded. And something inside me made a decision I didn't fully understand yet. Because what my mother didn't know, what none of them knew, was that 72 hours earlier, I had stopped the biggest ransomware attack in Texas history. And in exactly 4 days, the FBI was going to announce it on every news channel in the country with my face right there beside the director. My mom was about to learn exactly what playing with computers really meant. Before I tell you what happened when my face appeared on her TV screen and what she said in the voicemail she left 30 minutes later, tell me, what time is it where you are right now and where are you watching from? I want to see how far one mother's humiliation can travel before it comes back around. The thing about cybersecurity is that most people don't understand it until something breaks. You're invisible when things work and blamed when they don't. It's a lot like being the middle child in a family that only celebrates the loud ones. I grew up in a house where success had a very specific definition. My older brother Cameron was a lawyer. My younger sister Brooke. Wait, I can't use that name. My younger sister Sienna was a pediatric nurse. Both careers my mom could brag about at church, at the grocery store, at book club. Both careers where people nodded with understanding and respect. When I told my family I was majoring in computer science, my mom's face fell like I'd announced I was dropping out entirely. "Computers," she'd said, stirring her coffee with that tight smile she used when she was disappointed. "Honey, that's for boys who can't talk to people. You're so good with people. Why don't you do something in communications? Or teaching?" I tried to explain what cybersecurity meant. How I'd be protecting hospitals, banks, power grids. How hackers were getting smarter and someone had to stop them. She listened with her head tilted, the way you listen to a child explaining an imaginary friend. "That's nice, sweetie," she'd said. "Just make sure you have a backup plan." That was 10 years ago. I'd since built a career most people in my field would kill for. I'd stopped 3 major data breaches. I'd testified in court twice as an expert witness. I'd been flown to conferences in London, Singapore, and Austin. My salary was double what Cameron made, though I never said that out loud because it felt petty. But to my mom, I still played with computers. At family dinners, she'd gloss over me entirely. "Cameron just won a big case," she'd announce, glowing. "And Sienna's ward threw her a surprise party because the kids love her so much." Then she'd glance at me. "Jordan's been busy too. Still doing the computer thing." The computer thing. Like it was a phase. Like I was dabbling. I stopped trying to correct her after a while. It was easier to let her think whatever she wanted. But it hurts in this quiet, constant way, like a pebble in your shoe you forget about until you take a step. Then came my cousin Olivia's wedding. Olivia and I weren't close. She was the type who posted 14 Instagram stories a day and called everyone babe, even if she'd just met them. But she was family, and when the invitation came, my mom made it very clear I was expected to attend. "You need to be there," she'd said on the phone. "Olivia's marrying into the Preston family. Do you know who they are? His father owns half the commercial real estate in North Dallas. This is important, Jordan. Dress nicely. And please try to be social. Don't just sit in the corner on your phone." I bit my tongue. I always bit my tongue. The wedding was massive. A sprawling venue with marble floors, floral arrangements taller than me, and a guest list that read like a Forbes directory. I wore a navy dress I'd bought specifically for this, styled my hair, even put on heels that made my feet scream after 20 minutes. My mom was in her element. She floated between tables, laughing too loud, touching people's arms, name-dropping. I watched her work the room like a campaign manager. She introduced Cameron as my son, the attorney, and Sienna as my daughter, the angel who works with sick children. When she got to me, her smile faltered for just a second. "And this is Jordan," she said to a cluster of Olivia's new in-laws. "My oldest daughter." One of the women, dripping in diamonds, smiled politely. "What do you do, Jordan?" I opened my mouth, but my mom beat me to it. "Oh, Jordan works with computers," she said, waving her hand like she was swatting a fly. "Tech stuff. Very modern. She's still figuring it out. You know how it is with these creative types." Creative types. I wasn't a designer. I wasn't coding apps for fun. I was a senior threat intelligence analyst for one of the largest banks in the Southwest. But at that moment I was reduced to someone figuring it out. The woman nodded vaguely and changed the subject. I excused myself to the bathroom and locked myself in a stall. My hands were shaking. Not from anger exactly. From something deeper. From years of being minimized, compressed, erased. I pulled out my phone and stared at the email I'd gotten 3 days earlier. The subject line read, "FBI press conference, confirm attendance." 4 days from now, I was supposed to stand beside the FBI Cyber Division Director and be publicly recognized for my role in stopping a ransomware group that had targeted 47 hospitals across Texas. The group had threatened to shut down life support systems, delete patient records, and cripple emergency services unless they were paid $50 million. My team and I had tracked them for 6 weeks. We'd identified their entry points, isolated their malware, fed them false data while we built a trap. When they finally made their move, we were ready. We didn't just stop them. We dismantled their entire operation and handed federal agents enough evidence to make arrests in 3 countries. It was the kind of work that would be in cybersecurity textbooks someday. And my mother had just called it playing with computers. I washed my hands, fixed my lipstick, and walked back into the reception. The ballroom was buzzing. The bride and groom were doing their first dance. My mom was at the head table laughing with the Prestons. I sat down at my assigned seat, far from the important people, and made a decision. I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to fight for her approval anymore. I was just going to let her find out the same way everyone else would. On live television. The days between the wedding and the press conference felt like waiting for a storm you could see coming from miles away. I went to work. I filed reports. I prepped talking points with the FBI's media team. And every night I imagined my mother's face when she turned on the news. I didn't tell her. I didn't tell anyone in my family. Cameron texted me Monday morning. "Mom said you were weird at the wedding. You okay?" I typed back, "I'm fine. Just tired." Sienna called Tuesday. "Hey, I heard you left the reception early. Mom's worried you're mad at her." "I'm not mad," I lied. "Just had a lot of work stuff." "The computer thing?" she said, teasing but not mean. "Yeah. The computer thing." I could have told them. Could have said, "Actually, I'm about to be on national news for saving 47 hospitals." But I didn't. Because part of me wanted to see if they'd notice on their own. If they'd see my face on a screen and finally understand what I'd been doing all these years. Wednesday morning my phone rang. It was my mom. "Jordan, I need a favor." I closed my eyes. "What is it?" "The Prestons invited us to brunch on Sunday. I want you to come." Olivia's mother-in-law really took to Cameron, and I think it would be nice if we all showed up together. You know, present a united front. A united front. Yes. Like a real family. I almost laughed. "I'll see if I'm free." "Jordan, this is important." "I know. I'll let you know." I hung up and stared at my calendar. Sunday brunch. The press conference was scheduled for Friday at 10 a.m. Perfect timing. Thursday night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, running through every possible reaction. Would she call me? Text? Pretend she'd known all along? Ignore it completely? My boss, Agent Holloway, had sent me the final press release. My name was in the 3rd paragraph. Senior analyst Jordan Blake played a critical role in identifying and neutralizing the threat. It wasn't buried. It wasn't a footnote. It was right there. I screened it and saved it to my phone. Not to show anyone. Just to have proof that it was real. Friday morning I woke up at 6 a.m. I showered, straightened my hair, put on the charcoal suit the FBI's media team had approved. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked calm. professional and confidence. Inside I was vibrating. The press conference was being held at the FBI field office downtown. I arrived an hour early. The room was already filled with reporters, cameras, and microphones. I stood in the back with Agent Holloway and 2 other team members. "Are you ready?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. My voice didn't shake. At 10 a.m. sharp, the director stepped up to the podium. "Good morning. Today, I'm here to announce the successful disruption of a coordinated ransomware attack targeting healthcare facilities across Texas." I stopped listening to the words. I was watching the cameras, knowing that somewhere in living rooms and break rooms and doctors' offices, people were watching this, including my mother. The director gestured to us. "I'd like to recognize the members of our cyber task force who made this operation possible." We stepped forward. My face appeared on the screen behind us, 10 feet tall. Jordan Blake, Senior Threat Intelligence Analyst. The cameras clicked. The reporters scribbled. Someone asked a question about the hacker's methods. I answered it clearly, confidently, exactly the way I'd practiced. And somewhere 30 miles away my mother was watching. The press conference ended at 10:47 a.m. By 11:15 my phone was exploding. Texts, calls, voicemails, emails, LinkedIn messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. But nothing from my mom. Nothing from Cameron. Nothing from Sienna. I walked to my car in the parking garage, the sound of my heels echoing off the concrete. My hands were still steady. I felt strangely empty, like I'd been holding my breath for so long I'd forgotten what normal breathing felt like. I sat in my car and checked my phone again. Still nothing. Then at 11:52 a.m. my phone buzzed. "Cameron, holy shit. Was that you on TV?" I stared at the message. Not "congrats." Not "I'm so proud of you." Just shock. I didn't reply. At 12:30 Sienna called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was breathless. "Jordan. Oh my God. I just saw you on the news. Why didn't you tell us?" Mom is freaking out. Freaking out. Not proud. Not amazed. Freaking out. At 1:14 p.m. my mother finally called. I stared at her name on my screen for 3 rings. 4, 5. Then I answered. "Hi Mom. Jordan." Her voice was tight. Controlled. "I just saw the news." "Yeah. You were on TV." "Yeah." Pause. I heard her breathing. "Why didn't you tell me?" I almost laughed. "I don't know, Mom. Why do you think so?" "That's not fair, Jordan. Isn't it?" "I would have." She stopped herself. "I would have been there." "Would you?" Another pause. Longer this time. "People are calling me," she said, her voice cracking. "Friends from church. Neighbors. They saw you. They're asking why I never mentioned it." But there it was. She wasn't upset that I didn't tell her. She was upset that she looked bad. "I don't know what to tell you, Mom. Jordan, this is embarrassing." My chest tightened. "For who?" "For me. I've been telling people you work in IT or something vague because I didn't know how to explain it. And now everyone thinks I don't know what my own daughter does." "You don't." Silence. "That's not fair," she said again, quieter this time. "You called it playing with computers," I said. My voice was calm. Too calm. "At Olivia's wedding. In front of everyone. You made me sound like a teenager with a hobby." "I didn't mean it like that." "Yes, you did." I heard her inhale sharply. "Jordan, I am your mother. I have supported you." "When?" I interrupted. "When have you supported me, Mom? When did you ever ask what I actually do? When did you ever brag about me the way you brag about Cameron and Sienna?" Her voice turned cold. "Don't make this about them. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about how you've spent 10 years pretending my career doesn't exist because it doesn't fit the story you want to tell." "That is not true." "Then what do I do, Mom?" I asked. "Right now. Tell me what I do." Silence. "You can't, can you? Jordan." "I have to go." I hung up. My hands were shaking now. My heart was pounding. But underneath it all, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief. Over the next 2 days the story spread. The press conference footage went viral. News outlets picked it up. A cybersecurity podcast reached out for an interview. My LinkedIn had 300 new connection requests. And my mother's world was quietly unraveling. I heard about it through Sienna, who called me Saturday morning, voice hushed like she was reporting from a war zone. Mom's losing it, she said. She's been on the phone all morning doing damage control. Damage control for what? For looking like she didn't know. Mrs. Preston asked her why she didn't mention you were on the FBI task force, and Mom didn't have an answer. Then someone from church posted the news clip on Facebook and tagged her, and now everyone's asking questions. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. Jordan, she wants to have dinner tonight. All of us. She wants to clear the air. No. Come on. Just come. Let her apologize. She's not going to apologize, Sienna. She's going to make this about how I embarrassed her. You don't know that. Yes, I do. But I went anyway. Because part of me, some exhausted, hopeful part, wanted to see if I was wrong. We met at a steakhouse my mom liked, the kind with low lighting and quiet booths where important people made deals. Cameron was already there, scrolling through his phone. Sienna arrived 10 minutes late, flustered and apologetic. My mom was the last to arrive. She was dressed impeccably, hair perfect, makeup flawless. She looked like someone going into battle. She slid into the booth and folded her hands on the table. Jordan, she said. I owe you an apology. I waited. I should have asked more about your work. I should have taken the time to understand what you do. That's on me. It was the most hollow apology I'd ever heard. But, she continued, and there it was, I also think you should have told me about the press conference. It was humiliating to find out from strangers. Cameron jumped in. Yeah, Jordan. That was kind of messed up. I stared at him. Messed up. You made Mom look bad. I made her look bad? My voice was rising. She spent 10 years making me feel invisible and I'm the one who messed up? Sienna touched my arm. Jordan, come on. She's trying. No, she's not. I turned to my mom. You're not sorry I didn't feel seen. You're sorry you got caught not seeing me. My mom's jaw tightened. That's not fair. Neither was the wedding. I was trying to be modest. No. You were trying to make yourself look good by making me look small. The table went quiet. My mom's eyes filled with tears, but they felt performative. Like she was playing the role of a wounded mother. I don't know what you want from me, Jordan. I stood up. I don't want anything anymore. That's the problem. I left the restaurant. I didn't wait for them to call after me. 3 weeks later, I got an email from a woman named Dr. Patel. She'd seen the press conference and wanted to know if I'd be interested in speaking at a cybersecurity conference for young women in STEM. I said yes. A month after that, I was offered a job at a private security firm. Double my current salary. Full creative control over my team. I took it. My mom still calls sometimes. The conversations are short, surface level. She asks about work now, but in that careful way people ask when they're trying to avoid saying the wrong thing. I don't hate her. But I don't need her approval anymore. Cameron and I barely talk. Sienna tries to play mediator, but I've told her I'm fine. And I am. Because the truth is, revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just living well. Succeeding loudly. Refusing to shrink. My mom wanted me to fit into her story. Instead, I wrote my own. And when the world saw me, it wasn't through her lens. It was through mine. So here's my question for you. Have you ever been made to feel small by the people who were supposed to celebrate you the loudest? And if you have, what did it take for you to finally stop waiting for their approval? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this story hit home, hit that subscribe button. Because sometimes the best revenge is just refusing to stay small.